When a freezing December night brings tech genius Elon Musk face-to-face with a shivering girl on the Golden Gate Bridge, he offers her his coat without hesitation. But this simple act of kindness quickly turns into something far more mysterious. The girl, Kira, isn't just lost. She's desperately searching for her missing sister, Sarai. As Elon joins her search, strange clues begin to emerge. Why does Kira seem to know things she shouldn't? And what is the strange bridge that keeps appearing in Sarai's notes? What Elon doesn't realize is that finding Sarai will uncover a truth more extraordinary than anything he's ever imagined. One that will force him to question what it really means to be human. The wind howled across the Golden Gate Bridge, carrying with it a bitter chill that seemed determined to freeze San Francisco solid. It was nearly midnight, and the city lights twinkled like fallen stars against the inky December darkness. Most sensible people were home by now, wrapped in blankets with mugs of something warm clutched between their hands. Elon Musk wasn't most people. His sleek electric vehicle glided silently across the bridge, its headlights cutting through a light. Fog that had begun rolling in from the bay. The heater hummed quietly, but Elon barely noticed its warmth. His mind raced with calculations, projections, and solutions to problems most people couldn't even comprehend. "Sir, we have the prototype specs ready for review when you arrive home." His assistant's voice came through the car's speaker system. "Send them now," Elon replied, his South African accent more pronounced when he was tired. "I'll look them over while Rogers drives." In the front passenger seat, his head of security shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Musk, with all due respect, it's been a 20-hour day. Even geniuses need sleep." Elon's lips quirked into a half-smile. "Sleep is just a primitive form of death, Jenkins. We'll solve that problem eventually, too." Jenkins sighed, knowing argument was futile. The man had built empires on his ability to function where others would collapse from exhaustion. The car slowed suddenly as Rogers, his driver, eased off the accelerator. "Problem?" Elon asked, looking up from his phone. "There's someone on the bridge," Rogers said, voice tense. "On the pedestrian walkway. Doesn't look right." Jenkins immediately straightened, scanning the area with professional vigilance. "Keep driving. I'll alert bridge security." But Elon was already leaning forward, peering through the windshield. Through the wisps of fog, he could make out a small figure leaning against the railing. Too small to be an adult. "Pull over," he said quietly. "Sir, that's not advisable." "We don't know." "Pull over," Elon repeated, this time with the steel in. His voice that had launched rockets into space and revolutionized multiple industries. The car eased onto the shoulder, hazard lights blinking to life. Jenkins was already speaking rapidly into his comm unit, calling for backup. "Stay in the vehicle, sir. Please," Jenkins said. But Elon was already opening his door, the wind immediately whipping inside. The cold hit him like a physical blow. His custom-designed insulated coat, a prototype using technology developed for Mars missions, protected him from the worst of it. But his face stung as he stepped out onto the bridge. The walkway was officially closed at this hour, which made the small figure's presence even more concerning. It was a girl. 13, maybe 14 years old, with dark curly hair whipping wildly around her face. She wore only jeans and a thin, purple sweater, wholly inadequate for the freezing temperature. She wasn't looking toward him. Her gaze was fixed on the dark waters below, her hands gripping the railing so tightly her knuckles had gone white. Jenkins appeared at Elon's side, tense and alert. "Sir, please return to the vehicle. My team is 3 minutes out." Elon ignored him, approaching the girl slowly. "Hey there," he called, keeping his voice gentle, despite having to raise it above the wind. It's pretty cold to be out sightseeing. The girl's head snapped toward him, her body tensing like a startled deer. For a second, Elon thought she might bolt, or worse, climb over the railing. Instead, she just stared at him, shivering violently. "I'm not going to jump," she said, her voice surprisingly steady despite her chattering teeth. Everyone always thinks that. As Elon drew closer, he could see her more clearly. Her face was tear-streaked, but determined, with intelligent eyes that seemed much older than her years. She was shivering so badly it looked painful. Without hesitation, Elon removed his coat and held it out to her. "You look like you need this. More than I do." The girl stared at the offering with suspicion. "I don't need charity." "It's not charity," Elon replied. "It's a prototype. Consider it product testing. I need to know if it works for someone your size." A faint smile flickered across her face at the transparent lie, but she took the coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. It swallowed her small frame completely, the bottom edge nearly touching the ground. "Better?" Elon asked. She nodded reluctantly. "It's really warm. What's it made of?" "A few things that don't have names yet," he said, feeling the cold now biting through his thin cashmere sweater. "I'm Elon, by the way." "I know who you are," she said matter-of-factly. "You're the rocket man who wants to go to Mars." Elon laughed despite himself. "That's one way of putting it." Jenkins hovered nearby, clearly uncomfortable with the situation, but professional enough not to interfere directly. "What's your name?" Elon asked. The girl hesitated, then said, "Kyra Amari." "Well, Kyra Amari, what are you doing on this bridge at midnight in December without a proper coat?" Her face hardened, vulnerability vanishing behind a mask of determination. "Looking for my sister. Your sister? On the bridge?" "Not on the bridge specifically," Kyra said, frustration creeping into her voice. This was the last place someone saw her, 3 days ago." Elon studied her face carefully. She didn't appear to be lying. "Have you contacted the E-Key police?" "They don't care," she said bitterly. "Another runaway teenager. That's what they think. But Sarai wouldn't run away. Not without telling me. Not without—" Her voice cracked, and she looked away quickly, blinking hard. Something about— The girl's determined eyes struck Elon deeply. He recognized that look. It was the same stubborn resolve he'd carried as a child in South Africa. The same fire that had fueled him when everyone said his dreams were impossible, that electric cars would never replace gasoline, that private companies couldn't succeed in space. "Sir," Jenkins said quietly, "backup is arriving now. Bridge security has also been notified." 2 black SUVs pulled up behind Elon's car, and several security personnel emerged, keeping a respectful distance but clearly ready to intervene. Kyra's eyes widened. "I'm not going back to my aunt's," she said fiercely. "Not until I find Sarai." "Your point, aunt is your guardian?" Elon asked. "Since our parents died 2 years ago." Kyra's chin lifted slightly, a gesture of defiance. "But she didn't even report Sarai missing. She said Sarai was old enough to make her own choices." "And how old is Sarai?" 19. "But she wouldn't just leave. We promised we'd always stick together." Elon felt the weight of professional responsibility warring with personal concern. The reasonable thing would be to call social services, to hand this over to the proper authorities. But something in Kyra's fierce determination reached past his logical mind and touched something deeper. "Tell you what," he said, making a decision that his PR team would definitely not approve of. "It's freezing out here, and neither of us is dressed for a midnight investigation. There's a diner about 10 minutes from here that stays open all night. Let's get something warm to drink, and you can tell me more about your sister." Kira studied him warily. "Why would you help me? You don't even know me." Elon considered her question seriously. "Because 20 years ago, I had a crazy idea that most people thought was impossible, and the handful of people who didn't laugh at me made all the difference." He gestured toward his waiting car. "So, hot chocolate and a conversation? Then we'll figure out next steps." For a long moment, Kira didn't move. Then slowly, she nodded, pulling his oversized coat more tightly around her shoulders. "Okay," she said quietly, "but I don't want hot chocolate." "No, coffee," she said with sudden firmness. "Black, like my sister drinks it." Elon smiled despite himself. "Coffee it is." As they walked back toward the car, Jenkins falling into step beside them, Elon noticed Kira stealing glances at him, as if trying to solve a puzzle. "What?" he finally asked. "Nothing," she said. "It's just, of all the people who could have stopped tonight, it was you." She looked back over her shoulder at the bridge disappearing into the fog. Sarai would say, "That means something." What? Would she say it means? Kira's face softened for the first time, a flash of genuine emotion breaking through her defensive shell. That sometimes the universe puts the right people on your bridge. Elon wasn't sure how to respond to that. He wasn't a man who believed in fate or cosmic intervention. He believed in physics, mathematics, and human ingenuity. But something about Kira's words settled uncomfortably in his chest. The convoy of vehicles moved through the late-night streets of San Francisco, eventually pulling up outside a small diner called Stellar's. Despite the hour, warm light spilled from its windows onto the empty sidewalk. A neon sign buzzed quietly, casting a blue glow over their faces. "I come here sometimes when I can't sleep," Elon explained as Jenkins opened the car door, "which is often." Inside, the diner was nearly empty. An elderly man nursed a cup of coffee at the counter, while a waitress refilled sugar dispensers at the far end. Soft jazz played from hidden speakers. The warmth enveloped them immediately, making Elon realize just how cold he'd gotten on the bridge. "Anywhere you'd like," he told Kira, who chose a booth near the back, positioning herself so she could see the door. She didn't remove his coat, though the diner was plenty warm. A waitress approached, surprise flickering across her face at recognizing Elon, but professional enough not to make a fuss. "Evening, Mr. Musk. The usual? Please, Doris. And my young friend here would like coffee." Black. Doris raised an eyebrow at Kira but didn't comment on her age. "Coming right up." Jenkins took a seat at a nearby table, keeping a watchful eye on both the diner entrance and his employer. The other security personnel remained outside. "So, Elon," said once Doris had walked away. "Tell me about Sarai." Kira's fingers drummed nervously on the tabletop. "She's brilliant. Like, really brilliant. She got a full scholarship to Caltech, but turned it down to work independently. Why would she do that? She said universities move too slowly, that by the time research gets approved and published, it's already outdated." Kira looked directly at Elon. "You didn't go to grad school either," I started, Elon corrected. "But you're right, I left for similar reasons." He leaned forward slightly. "What kind of work does your sister do?" "Programming mostly. AI stuff." Kira shrugged like it was no big deal, but Elon caught the undertone of pride in her voice. "She's been teaching me since I was 7. Doris returned with their drinks, a black coffee for Kira, and what appeared to be a protein shake for Elon. Kira wrapped her small hands around the mug, soaking in its warmth. "When did you last see your sister?" Elon asked after taking a sip of his shake. 3 days ago, Tuesday morning. She made breakfast, eggs and toast, and said she had a meeting with potential investors. Kira's voice wavered slightly. She promised to be home for dinner. We were going to make pasta together. She took a sip of coffee, wincing at the bitterness but forcing herself to swallow. She never came home. And your aunt didn't report her missing? Kira's expression hardened. Aunt Lindsay thinks Sarai is a bad influence on me. Says she fills my head with unrealistic aspirations. She was probably glad when Sarai didn't come home. Elon frowned. Have you been searching for 3 days on your own? I've been looking everywhere, Kira said, exhaustion suddenly evident in the slump of her shoulders. Her usual places. I tried calling her friends, but they haven't heard from her either. Nobody's helping me look. She swallowed hard. The police said they can't do anything because she's an adult and there's no evidence of foul play. As if on cue, the diner door opened and 2 uniformed police officers entered. Jenkins immediately tensed, hand moving instinctively toward his concealed weapon. It's all right, Elon said quietly to Jenkins before turning to Kira. I asked them to come. We need to make sure everything's done properly. Betrayal flashed across Kira's face. You're sending me back to my aunt. No, Elon said firmly. I'm making sure your sister's disappearance is taken seriously. The officers approached their table, a middle-aged woman with lieutenant stripes and a younger male officer. Jenkins intercepted them briefly, checking credentials before allowing them to approach Elon. Mr. Musk, the female officer said, with a nod. Lieutenant Reyes, this is Officer Nolan. You reported finding a minor? This is Kira Amari, Elon said. Her 19-year-old sister Sarai is missing. Lieutenant Reyes's expression softened as she looked at Kira. Hello, Kira. Can we sit down? Kira nodded reluctantly, and the officers slid into the booth across from them. When did your sister go missing? Reyes asked, pulling out a small notebook. Kira repeated what she had told Elon, adding details about Sarai's appearance and what she had been wearing. Jeans, a gray hoodie, and red sneakers. And you live with your aunt? Reyes asked. Lindsay, Amari on Fulton Street? Kira nodded. Has your aunt been informed that you're out tonight? No, Kira admitted. She works nights. She wouldn't notice I'm gone. Reyes and Nolan exchanged glances. We'll need to contact her, Reyes said gently. She didn't even report Sarai missing. Kira protested, her voice rising. She doesn't care about either of us, Elon interjected. Lieutenant, I understand protocol here, but perhaps we could focus first on Sarai's disappearance? A young woman has been missing for 3 days. Sir, Officer Nolan spoke for the first time. We have procedures for runaway teenagers. She's not a runaway. Kira slammed her palm on the table, causing her coffee to slosh over the rim. Nobody's listening to me? I'm listening, Elon said quietly. And I believe you. Kira looked at him, desperate hope in her eyes. Reyes sighed. Mr. Musk, with all due respect, we can't just... I understand, Elon interrupted, pulling out his Ami phone. One moment, please. He stepped away from the table and made a brief call, speaking in low tones. The others watched him in silence. When he returned, there was a new determination in his eyes. Lieutenant, I've just spoken with your chief of police. He's agreed to open an investigation into Sarai Amari's disappearance. Effective immediately. He fixed both officers with an unwavering stare. I've also arranged for Kira to remain in my protective custody until her sister is found. Both officers looked stunned. Kira's mouth fell open. Sir, Reyes began, that's highly irregular. So, is dismissing a missing person case without proper investigation, Elon countered. I have a team of security professionals, a safe environment, and resources that can assist in finding Sarai quickly. Time is of the essence here. Jenkins, who had been listening nearby, approached the table. Sir, the Mars mission announcement is tomorrow. Your schedule can be adjusted, Elon finished firmly. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Reyes nodded slowly. I'll need to verify this with the chief directly, she said, standing. And we'll need formal temporary guardianship papers. There will be procedures, Mr. Musk. I understand, Elon replied. My legal team will handle everything first thing in the morning. After the officers left, with promises to begin investigating immediately, Kira stared at Elon in disbelief. Why are you doing this? She asked. You have rockets to launch, Mars to colonize. Why would you care about finding my sister? Elon thought for a moment, remembering the determined look in Kira's eyes on the bridge. The same look he'd seen in the mirror countless times when everyone said his dreams were impossible. Because sometimes, he said finally, finding the right person is more important than launching the next rocket. Kira studied his face as if searching for deception, then nodded slowly, seemingly satisfied with what she found. She took another sip of her coffee, grimacing slightly. You don't have to drink that if you don't like it, Elon said, amused. Sarai says you have to learn to appreciate bitter things, Kira replied, taking another determined sip. She says it, builds character. Your sister sounds wise beyond her years. She is. Kira's eyes welled with tears. She quickly blinked away. And now she's in trouble. I can feel it. The ride to Elon's home was quiet. Kira stared out the window at the glittering city, her reflection pale against the glass. By the time they arrived, at the sleek, minimalist mansion overlooking the bay, she was fighting to keep her eyes open. We'll start fresh in the morning, Elon said, as he led her through the entrance. You need sleep. Despite her protests that she wasn't tired, Kira was shown to a guest room where she immediately collapsed onto the bed, still wearing Elon's oversized coat. She was asleep before the door closed behind her. Elon retreated to his home office, where his chief of security was waiting with an update. Sir, I've arranged for Ms. Amari's aunt to be notified of her whereabouts, Jenkins said, his expression professionally neutral. She seemed unconcerned. Unconcerned that her 13-year-old niece was wandering a bridge at midnight? Elon asked sharply. She said, and I quote, Kira's always chasing after her sister. They can both stay gone as far as I'm concerned. Elon's jaw tightened. Get me everything you can on both girls. And I mean everything. Birth certificates, school records, medical history. Already in progress, sir. Also, your PR team is concerned about tomorrow's announcement. Tell them I'll be there. Now, I need 2 hours alone. No interruptions. Once Jenkins left, Elon sat back in his chair, rubbing his temples. What had possessed him to take responsibility for a teenage girl and promise to find her missing sister? It was impulsive, even for him. Yet, there was something about Kira that resonated with him, that fierce determination, that unwavering loyalty. And if her sister was half as brilliant as Kira claimed, his thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock. He looked up to see Kira standing in the doorway, her hair disheveled from sleep, still drowning in his coat. I thought you were resting, he said. I remembered something. She approached his desk and pulled a worn notebook from inside the coat. Sarai's journal. She always keeps it with her, but she left it behind 3 days ago. That's how I knew something was wrong. Elon took the notebook carefully. May I? Kira nodded, watching intently as he opened it. The pages were filled with dense code, complex diagrams, and mathematical equations that made even Elon, a man accustomed to rocket science, pause to decipher. Interspersed were cryptic notes: neural pathway mapping successful, bridging protocol unstable, solutions, mirror neuron enhancement. As he flipped through the pages, his interest grew exponentially. This wasn't amateur work. This was revolutionary. "Kyra," he said slowly, "do you understand what your sister was working on?" She shifted uncomfortably. "Some of it. She was developing an algorithm for neural interfaces, connecting human brains directly to computers." That's a significant understatement. Elon turned the notebook toward her, pointing to a particular diagram. "This is a framework for consciousness transfer. Do you understand what that means? Like uploading your mind to a computer?" Kira's voice was small. "Sarai said it was just theoretical." "This doesn't look theoretical to me." He flipped to the final page, where a single phrase was written repeatedly: "Breaking the bridge." "What does that mean?" he asked. "I don't know." Kira took the notebook back, running her fingers over her sister's handwriting. She'd been getting weird messages before she disappeared. Became really secretive. "What kind of messages?" "I only saw one. It said, 'Your protocol works. Time to bridge the gap.'" Elon leaned forward, fully alert now. "Who sent it?" "I don't know. But after she got it, she started acting strange. Talking to herself. Working all night." Kira looked up, her eyes reflecting the dim light of the office. Sometimes she'd stare at empty spaces like someone was there. A chill ran down Elon's spine that had nothing to do with the room's temperature. His companies had been developing neural interface technology for years, but nothing as advanced as what was in Sarai's notebook. "Kira, I need to bring in some of my engineers to look at this." Her eyes narrowed. "Why? So you can steal her ideas?" The accusation stung, but Elon respected her protectiveness. "No, because if your sister really developed what this suggests, it could be worth billions and dangerous in the wrong hands." "Is that why someone took her? For her algorithm?" "It's possible." Elon stood, moving to a wall-mounted screen. With a few taps, he brought up a secure communication system. "But if so, we need to move quickly." Within 30 minutes, his top neural interface engineer arrived, bleary-eyed but alert enough to gasp when shown Sarai's work. "This is impossible," Dr. Nia Chen murmured, flipping through the notebook. "We're years away from this level of integration." "Apparently not," Elon replied. "Can you decipher her notes? Figure out exactly what she developed?" "I'll need time, and probably more context." Dr. Chen looked at Kira. "Does your sister have any other research materials? A computer, perhaps?" "Her laptop," Kira said. "It's at our aunt's apartment, but it's password protected." "That won't be a problem," Elon assured her. "There's something else," Kira added hesitantly. Before Sarai disappeared, she was communicating with someone on a weird message board. Really encrypted stuff. She called it the Nexus. Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "The Nexus is real? I thought it was just a rumor. A forum where only the most elite programmers can access." "It's real," Kira confirmed. "Sarai showed me once. She said it's where the real innovation happens, away from corporate control." Elon and Dr. Chen exchanged glances. If Sarai had been sharing her breakthrough on the Nexus, there was no telling who might have accessed it. "Dr. Chen, I want a team. Assembled by morning. Full resources, complete discretion." Elon turned to Kira. "First thing tomorrow, we're retrieving your sister's laptop." As dawn approached, Elon returned to his office after seeing Dr. Chen out. He found Kira curled up in his chair, asleep again. Sarai's notebook clutched tightly to her chest. In sleep, she looked even younger. The weight of her missing sister momentarily lifted from her shoulders. Carefully, he draped a blanket over her, then moved to the window, watching as the first light of day touched the bay. Whatever Sarai Amari had discovered, it was revolutionary enough to make her a target, and now her little sister was caught in the middle of it. "Where are you, Sarai?" he whispered to the rising sun. "And what did you discover that was worth disappearing for?" Morning brought a flurry of activity to Elon's usually quiet home. His security team prepared for the trip to Kira's aunt's apartment, while his technical experts assembled the equipment needed to analyze Sarai's laptop. Kira, now wearing borrowed clothes that hung loosely on her small frame, attacked a plate of breakfast with surprising vigor. The dark circles under her eyes had faded somewhat, though worry still lined her face. "Sleep well?" Elon asked, setting down his protein shake. "Not really," she admitted between bites of scrambled eggs. "I kept dreaming about Sarai. She was trying to tell me something, but I couldn't hear her." She pushed her food around the plate. "That happens sometimes, even when we're awake. Like we can sense what the other is thinking." Elon raised an eyebrow but didn't comment. Many siblings claimed similar connections. "Sir," Jenkins appeared in the doorway. "We're ready when you are." "There's something else you should know," Kira said as they drove through morning traffic. "Sarai hid things in our room, secret compartments she built into the walls. Our aunt doesn't know about them." "Smart," Elon remarked, impressed. "What does she keep in them?" "Hard drives, mostly, and cash. She doesn't trust banks." "Doesn't trust banks? Communicates on secret forums? Hides her research," Elon mused. "Your sister seems quite paranoid." "Not paranoid," Kira corrected firmly. "Cautious. She always said the bigger the idea, the more people want to control it." Lindsay Amari's apartment was in a run-down building in a forgettable neighborhood. The woman who answered the door had Kira's curly hair, but none of her spirit. Her eyes were dull, her movements sluggish. "So you found her," she said, hardly looking at Kira. Then, recognizing Elon, she straightened slightly. "Mr. Musk, this is unexpected." "Ms. Amari," Elon nodded politely. "We need to collect some of Sarai's belongings. It may help us locate her." "Whatever." Lindsay stepped aside, waving them in. "Take what you want. Maybe then things can get back to normal around here." The apartment was small and cluttered, with an underlying smell of cigarettes. Kira led them straight to a bedroom she clearly shared with her sister. Two twin beds sat on opposite sides of the room, one neatly made with science fiction posters. Above it, the other unmade and bare. "That's Sarai's," Kira pointed to the neat bed. While Jenkins kept Lindsay occupied in the living room, Kira showed Elon the hidden compartments, one behind a loose baseboard, another in a hollowed-out textbook. From these, they retrieved 3 external hard drives, a stack of notebooks, and an envelope containing several $1,000s in cash. "She was preparing for something," Elon observed, examining the well-worn laptop they found under Sarai's mattress. Back in the car, Kira clutched her sister's belongings to her chest. "She wouldn't have left all this behind," she said quietly. "Not unless she had no choice." At Elon's home, Dr. Chen and her team immediately set to work on Sarai's laptop. The password issue proved challenging even for them. After multiple failed attempts, the system threatened to wipe itself clean. "Your sister has impressive security protocols," Dr. Chen told Kira. "Any ideas what her password might be?" Kira thought for a moment, then carefully typed a sequence. The screen unlocked immediately. "How did you know?" Elon asked, impressed. It's the date our parents died, plus the word bridge in binary, Kira explained. We made it together. As the team worked, Elon found himself increasingly drawn into Sarah's digital world. The young woman was indeed brilliant. Her code was elegant, her theories revolutionary. But most concerning were the messages they found on her encrypted email. "Your protocol works better than we imagined," Elon read, aloud from one message. "The bridge is stable. Time to proceed to Phase 2. "Who sent these?" he asked Dr. Chen. "That's what's strange," she replied, pointing to the sender information. "According to this, they came from Sarai herself, but from a different email address than her main one." "Could she have been communicating with herself?" Jenkins asked, frowning. "That doesn't make sense," Kira insisted. Unless what?" Elon prompted. Kira hesitated. "Sometimes, late at night, I'd hear her talking. When I'd ask who she was talking to, she'd say, 'myself.' I thought she meant she was thinking out loud." Dr. Chen continued scanning through files. "There's something else. Look at this." She pulled up a document filled with code. "This appears to be the algorithm she was developing, but parts are missing. Key components that would make it functional." "Could she have deleted them?" Elon asked. "No," Dr. Chen replied. "There are reference calls to functions that should be here. It's like someone deliberately removed sections." "Or she hid them somewhere else," Kira suggested. Elon nodded. The missing pieces could be what someone was after. As afternoon faded, into evening, they made a breakthrough. One of Dr. Chen's team members managed to trace Sarai's digital footprint to an encrypted message board, the nexus that Kira had mentioned. "We're in," the young programmer announced triumphantly. "But there's a problem. Someone has been systematically erasing Sarai's presence from the forum. Posts deleted, threads removed. Someone's covering their tracks." Elon leaned over to study the screen. "Can you recover any of it?" "I'm trying, but whoever did this knows what they're doing. They're using military-grade scrubbing protocols." Kira, who had been quietly observing, suddenly spoke up. "Try looking for Mirror Self. That was her username sometimes." The programmer typed quickly, then nodded. "Good call. There's something here. A private conversation from 4 days ago." On the screen appeared a cryptic exchange. "Mirror Self. Integration successful. The bridge holds. Neuromancer. Results verified. Proceed to physical testing phase. Mirror Self. Concerns about stability. Need more time. Neuromancer. Time is luxury we don't have. VK acquiring competitors daily. Mirror Self. Not safe yet. Neuromancer. Never safe. Only first or forgotten. VK, Elon murmured. That has to be Vernon Kraft. Who's that? Kira asked. Elon's expression darkened. Someone who's been trying to beat me at my own game for years. And if he's involved in your sister's disappearance, things just got a lot more complicated. Kraft Technologies, Dr. Chen explained to Kira. They're one of our biggest competitors in neural interface development. But they've always been a step behind, Elon added, pacing the room. Their tech is derivative, unoriginal. Vernon Kraft has more money than vision. He stopped suddenly, turning to Dr. Chen. Search Sarai's emails for any communication from Kraft Technologies. The search yielded results almost immediately. A series of emails dating back 6 weeks. Dear Ms. Amari, Dr. Chen read aloud, your research has come to our attention. We believe your neural interface algorithm could revolutionize our current projects. We'd like to discuss potential collaboration. Did she respond? Elon asked. Yes. She declined initially, Dr. Chen scrolled through more emails, but they were persistent. Offered her increasing amounts of money, lab resources, a team to work with. And did she eventually accept? Jenkins asked. Dr. Chen nodded. 3 weeks ago, she agreed to meet with them. That doesn't mean she's there, Kira insisted. Sarai wouldn't sell out to some big corporation. She believes in open-source innovation. People change their minds when enough money is involved, Jenkins commented. Not Sarai, Kira said fiercely. Never Sarai. Elon studied the girl's determined face. I believe you. But we need to know for sure. We need to visit Craft Technologies. Jenkins immediately began to protest. Sir, you can't just walk into a competitor's headquarters. Watch me, Elon replied. Preparations were made quickly. Elon's PR team reluctantly rescheduled his Mars mission announcement, releasing a statement about unexpected technical considerations. His legal team prepared for potential fallout, and Jenkins assembled a security detail that could pass for a corporate entourage. I'm coming too, Kira declared when she realized they were getting ready to leave. Absolutely not, Jenkins said firmly. This is no place for a child. I'm not a child, Kira retorted, and she's my sister. Elon, who had been deep in thought, looked up. She's coming. Sir, Jenkins began to protest. She knows Sarai better than any of us, Elon interrupted. She might notice something we'd miss. An hour later, they pulled up to the gleaming glass tower of Craft Technologies in downtown San Francisco. Unlike Elon's companies, which occupied repurposed warehouses and industrial spaces, Craft embraced corporate opulence. 60 stories of reflective glass and steel, reaching toward the clouds. In the lobby, Elon approached the reception desk with the confidence of someone who expects doors to open for him. Elon Musk to see Vernon Craft, he announced. The receptionist's eyes widened. Do you have an appointment, Mr. Musk? He'll see me, Elon replied simply. While the flustered receptionist made hurried calls, Kira wandered around the lobby, studying the display cases showcasing Craft Technologies' innovations. Elon joined her in front of a neural interface headset, similar to ones his own company developed. Second rate, he commented quietly. Their response time is twice as slow as ours. Dirt looks the same, Kira observed. That's Craft's specialty. Making things that look impressive but don't quite deliver. Elon's voice held undisguised contempt. He's been copying my innovations for years, always a step behind. Mr. Musk, a smooth voice interrupted. What? An unexpected pleasure. Vernon Craft was a tall, impeccably dressed man in his early 60s. His silver hair was perfectly styled, his smile practiced but not reaching his eyes. He extended his hand, which Elon shook briefly. Vernon, Elon acknowledged coolly. I need to speak with you. Privately. Craft's smile remained fixed. Of course, though I must say, this is highly unusual. His gaze shifted to Kira. And who is your young companion? Before Elon could answer, Kira stepped forward. I'm looking for my sister, Sarai Amari. Something flickered in Craft's eyes, so brief that most would have missed it. But Elon caught it. Recognition, quickly masked. I'm afraid that name doesn't ring a bell, Craft said smoothly. But please, come up to my office. Perhaps I can help in some way. The executive elevator whisked them to the top floor, where Craft's office offered panoramic views of the city. As they entered, Kira trailed behind slightly, her eyes darting around the space, taking in every detail. Now then, Craft settled behind his imposing desk. What brings the great Elon Musk to my humble company? Surely not to discuss a merger. He chuckled at his own joke. Sarai Amari, Elon replied bluntly. 19 years old, programming prodigy. She came here 3 days ago for a meeting and hasn't been seen since. Kraft's expression remained neutral. Mr. Musk, we have thousands of meetings each month with potential collaborators and employees. I can't possibly keep track. Your company approached her specifically about her neural interface algorithm, Elon interrupted. An algorithm that could revolutionize consciousness integration. That's not something you'd forget. Kraft steepled his fingers. I'll have my assistant check our visitor logs. If Ms. Amari was here, we'll have a record of it. He pressed a button on his desk. Rebecca, could you bring me the visitor logs from the past week? While they waited, Kraft attempted small talk about market trends and recent technological advances. Elon responded minimally, his attention divided between Kraft and Kira, who was methodically examining the room. Ah, here we are, Kraft said, when his assistant brought in a tablet. He scrolled through it. Yes, a Sarai Amari did visit 3 days ago. She met with our neural interface research team for approximately 2 hours, then left the building at 4:17 p.m. Nothing unusual. Security? Footage? Elon demanded. I'm afraid that would require a warrant, Kraft replied with a thin smile. Corporate security, you understand? Then you won't mind if the police request it, Elon countered. They're investigating her disappearance. Something hardened in Kraft's expression. Mr. Musk, I sympathize with this young lady's concern for her sister, but Kraft Technologies cannot be held responsible for what happens to visitors after they leave our premises. As the men talked, Kira drifted toward a side table where various corporate awards were displayed. Among them was a key card on a lanyard. She casually picked it up, examining it before setting it down again. Or so it appeared. Elon, watching her from the corner of his eye, noticed the slight bulge in her pocket afterward. Thank you for your time, Vernon, Elon said abruptly, rising. We'll let the police handle it from here. In the elevator, descending from Kraft's office, Elon waited until they were alone before asking quietly, What did you find? Kira pulled the key card from her pocket. I saw one just like this in Sarai's things. It has the same blue stripe. Elon studied the card. Access badge, probably for the research labs. He's lying, Kira said with absolute certainty. Sarai is here. I can feel it. Elon studied the girl's face. Her eyes held that same unwavering determination he'd seen on the bridge. You're probably right, he admitted. But we can't exactly storm the building. Why not? Kira asked, her voice completely serious. You're Elon Musk. You could buy this entire building if you wanted to. Elon couldn't help but smile. That's not how business works, unfortunately. But he examined the key card in his hand. There might be another way. Back at Elon's home, a strategy session was underway. Jenkins was adamantly opposed to what he called corporate espionage, while Dr. Chen analyzed the stolen key card. It's a multi-level access badge, she explained, connecting it to a diagnostic device, and a sophisticated one at that. It has biometric verification built in. Meaning? Elon asked. Meaning it won't work for just anyone. It's probably keyed to specific fingerprints. Kira, who had been unusually quiet, spoke up. Can you bypass that? Dr. Chen looked thoughtful. Possibly. We'd need to clone the access protocols without triggering the biometric verification. It would take time, though. How much time? A few hours, if we're lucky. Elon nodded. Make it happen. While Dr. Chen and her team worked on the key card, Elon pulled up the architectural plans for Kraft Technologies headquarters. As a public building, certain floor plans were available through city records. The research labs would likely be in the sublevels, he mused, studying the diagrams. easier to control access and environmental conditions. There are 3 sublevels, Jenkins pointed out. Which one would they keep her in? All of them, Kira said simply. Everyone turned to Tantututu. Look at her. If Sarai's algorithm is as valuable as you say, they wouldn't keep all their research in one place. They'd spread it across different secure locations. Elon nodded appreciatively. Smart thinking. We'll need to check all 3. Sir, Jenkins interjected, I must strongly advise against this course of action. Breaking into a competitor's facility could result in criminal charges, not to mention the damage to your company's reputations. Noted, Elon replied, not looking up from the plans. But we're going anyway. Then at least let me handle it, Jenkins insisted. My team can conduct the operation without you or the girl being present. No, both Elon and Kira said simultaneously. Jenkins sighed in resignation. Then I need to prepare accordingly. This will require precise timing and coordination. As night fell over San Francisco, Elon found Kira in his library, surrounded by books on neural interfaces and consciousness theory. Research? He asked, sitting across from her. Trying to understand what Sarai was working on, she replied, not looking up. Some of this makes sense, but some of it... She trailed off, rubbing her temples. Headache? A little. Kira closed the book. They've been getting worse lately. Sarai used to get them too. Maybe you should stay here tonight, Elon suggested carefully. Let Jenkins and his team handle the search. Kira's head snapped up, her eyes flashing. Not a chance. I'm going. It could be dangerous. She's my sister, Kira said, as if that explained everything. And in a way, Elon supposed it did. Sir, Dr. Chen appeared in the doorway, holding the keycard. We've managed to bypass the biometric controls. It should work now, but only for a limited time, maybe 2 hours before the system detects the anomaly. That'll have to be enough, Elon said, taking the card. We move at midnight. Jenkins had prepared thoroughly. Each member of the small team was outfitted with communication devices and non-lethal defensive tools. Elon insisted on keeping the operation minimal, just himself, Kira, Jenkins, and 2 security specialists. Remember, Jenkins instructed as their unmarked vehicle approached craft technologies under cover of darkness. This is a reconnaissance mission only. We find evidence of Sarai's presence, document it, and leave. Then we let the authorities handle it legally. Kira, dressed in black like the others, nodded solemnly, though Elon caught the stubborn set of her jaw. If they found Sarai, he doubted the girl would leave without her sister. The building's night security was minimal, a guard at the front desk and regular patrols. Using service entrances and the cloned keycard, they bypassed the main lobby entirely. Sub-level, 1 first, Jenkins whispered as they descended in a service elevator. The first sub-level housed standard research laboratories, nothing unusual or highly secured. They moved quickly through the space, finding no evidence of neural interface, research, or Sarai's presence. Sub-level 2 was more promising. Here, the laboratories were dedicated to neural technology, with experimental setups that Elon recognized immediately. They've been busy, he murmured, examining equipment that closely resembled prototypes from his own labs. Too busy. Sir, one of the security specialists called softly from a computer terminal. I think I found something. The screen showed research logs with Sarai's name appearing multiple times over the past 3 weeks. So she was working with them, Jenkins said. Voluntarily at first, the specialist clarified, scrolling through the logs. But look at the access patterns. For the first 2 weeks, she came and went during normal business hours. Then, 3 days, the pattern changes. Her credentials show activity at all hours, without ever leaving the building. "They're keeping her here," Kira whispered. "There's more," the specialist continued. "There's a secure server dedicated to something called Project Bridge. Sarai's credentials have been accessing it extensively." "Can you get into it?" Elon asked. "Not from here. It's isolated from the main network. But I can tell you where the server is physically located. Sub-level 3. The deepest level of the building was noticeably different from the others. The temperature was cooler, the lighting dimmer. Security was heavier too. They had to navigate around multiple camera systems and use the keycard at 3 different checkpoints. "This is serious security," Jenkins muttered. "Whatever they're doing down here, they don't want anyone to know about it." They found the server room easily enough, but accessing it proved challenging. The door required not just the keycard, but a 6-digit code. "Now what?" Kira asked. Elon studied the keypad. "Your sister's birthday?" Kira shook her head. Sarai would never use something so obvious. "What about—" Elon thought back to the password for Sarai's laptop. "The date your parents died?" Kira carefully entered the numbers. The light remained red. "Wait," she said suddenly. "The bridge. Sarai's always talking about bridges." She tried a new sequence. The light turned green, and the door clicked open. Inside was a small room dominated by a server stack. One wall held a large display screen, currently showing lines of code that scrolled continuously. Along another wall was a desk with Sarai's personal items scattered across it. Her phone, a half-empty coffee mug, a worn paperback book. "She was here," Kira said, picking up the book. A copy of Flatland with dog-eared pages and margin notes in Sarai's handwriting. "And recently," Elon added, touching the coffee mug, "this is still warm." The security specialist was already accessing the server. "Sir, you need to see this." On the screen appeared a video file. When played, it showed Sarai sitting in this very room, looking directly at the camera. Her face was pale, her eyes tired but alert. "If you're watching this, something's gone wrong," she began, her voice slightly raspy. "The algorithm works better than anyone expected." The consciousness separation was successful, but the integration process is unstable. They don't understand the risks. She glanced nervously over her shoulder before continuing. "They're pushing too fast. The bridge can't hold under these conditions. It needs to be—" The video cut off abruptly. "What happened?" Kira demanded. "Play the rest." "That's all there is," the specialist replied. "It was recorded 3 days ago at 4:21 p.m. 4 minutes after she supposedly left the building," Elon noted grimly. Kira was examining the room more closely now, running her hands along the walls as if searching for something. "There's another door," she said suddenly, pointing to a nearly invisible seam in the wall paneling. Before they could investigate further, an alarm shattered the silence, red lights flashing throughout the room. "We've been detected," Jenkins barked. "We need to move, now." Elon hesitated, looking at the hidden door Kira had discovered. "She could be right behind that door." "Sir, if we're caught here, we'll have no chance of helping her legally," Jenkins argued. "We need to retreat and return with proper authority." The sounds of security personnel responding to the alarm could already be heard in the corridor outside. "Kira, we have to go," Elon said firmly, grasping her shoulders. "But I promise you, we'll come back for her." Tears of frustration welled in the girl's eyes, but she nodded. As they raced toward the exit, Kira grabbed Sarai's book and phone from the desk. Their escape was a blur of service corridors and stairwells, narrowly avoiding security teams that now swarmed the building. By some miracle, they made it to their vehicle and disappeared into the night before a full lockdown could be implemented. As they sped away, Kira clutched Sarai's belongings to her chest. her expression more determined than ever. "She's alive," she whispered. "And now we know where to find her." Dawn was breaking by the time they returned to Elon's home. Despite the exhaustion evident on everyone's faces, there was no talk of rest. They had found proof of Sarai's presence at Craft Technologies, but they still didn't understand what Project Bridge was or why Sarai was being held. Kira immediately set to examining her sister's phone. "It's locked," she said, frustrated. "Give it to Dr. Chen," Elon suggested. "Her team might be able to access it." But Kira shook her head. "I know the password. It's just—" She hesitated, looking strangely vulnerable. "Sarai and we have these inside jokes. Things only we understand." After a few attempts, the phone unlocked. Kira scrolled through it rapidly, her eyes widening. "There's a hidden folder," she said. "Sarai showed me once how to access it." The folder contained dozens of videos, all showing young people mostly, in their late teens or early 20s, discussing advanced neural interface concepts. They appeared to be video diaries of some kind. "Play that one," Elon pointed to a file dated just a week before Sarai's disappearance. The video showed Sarai sitting in what looked like her bedroom, speaking quietly to avoid being overheard. "The Nexus discussion today was intense," she began. "Maya's algorithm almost crashed when she tried integrating the mirror neuron mapping. She's been offline for 3 days now. People are worried." She paused, rubbing her temples, a gesture so similar to Kira's that Elon glanced between the screen and the girl beside him. The resemblance between the sisters was striking. "I think I've solved the stability issue," Sarai continued. "Using quantum entanglement as a framework for consciousness transference creates a bridge that can support the neural load without collapsing. But I'm worried about who might access this technology. The wrong hands." She looked directly at the camera. "If anything happens to me, there are others. Find Dominic Reeves." The video ended abruptly. "Dominic Reeves?" Jenkins repeated. "Who's that?" "I don't know," Kira admitted. "Sarai never mentioned him to me. One of Jenkins's team members was already searching databases." Dominic Reeves, former intelligence operative for the NSA's Quantum Information Division, left government service 4 years ago. Currently runs a private tech security firm called Firewall. "Get him here," Elon ordered, "whatever it costs." Dominic Reeves arrived 3 hours later, a compact man with watchful eyes and a deliberately forgettable face. He showed no surprise at being summoned to Elon Musk's home, nor at the urgency of the situation. "So Sarai finally crossed the line," he said, after they explained the situation. "I warned her this might happen." "You know my sister?" Kira asked, leaning forward intently. "I know of her," Reeves corrected. "I monitor the Nexus. It's part of my job to track potentially disruptive technologies before they hit the mainstream. And my sister's algorithm is disruptive," Kira pressed. "Young lady, your sister's work isn't just disruptive, it's revolutionary. True consciousness transference has been the holy grail of neural interface research for decades. The ability to separate and transfer human consciousness would change everything. Medicine, communication, even the definition of death itself." Elon frowned. "My companies have been at the forefront of neural interface development for years. We're nowhere near that capability." "That's because you've been playing by the rules," Reeves said bluntly. "There's an underground network of young prodigies working outside the system, sharing ideas, building on each other's breakthroughs without corporate or government restrictions. They've made advancements that official research is years from achieving." "And Sarai is part of this network?" Elon asked. "She's one of their stars," Reeves confirmed. "But she's not the only one who's disappeared lately." He pulled out a tablet and displayed images of 6 young people, 3 men and 3 women, all in their late teens or early 20s. All brilliant, all working on aspects of neural interface technology, all gone within the last year. Kira stared at the faces. What happened to them? That's the question, isn't it? Reeves swiped to display a map with points marked across the country. They vanished from different locations, but there's a pattern. Each disappearance coincided with major corporate acquisitions in the tech sector. Rerouted. Let me guess, Elon said grimly. Kraft Technologies was the buyer. Among others, Reeves nodded. Vernon Kraft heads the most visible operation, but he's just the public face. There's a consortium of interests behind him. Corporations, government, agencies, even foreign entities. They're all racing to control this technology. But why take the people? Dr. Chen asked. Why not just buy their research? Because true neural interface innovation isn't just about code and hardware, Reeves explained. It's about the unique neural patterns of the developers themselves. These prodigies aren't just creating the technology, they're becoming part of it. A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. Are you saying, Elon began slowly, that they're using these young people as test subjects for their own technology? That's exactly what I'm saying, Reeves confirmed. And based on what you found at Kraft Technologies, Sarai's breakthrough made her the most valuable subject yet. Kira suddenly doubled over, pressing her palms against her temples, her face contorted in pain. Kira! Elon moved to her side immediately. What's wrong? Headache, she gasped. Really bad one. Dr. Chen brought her water and pain medication, but Kira was already straightening, blinking away tears of pain. I'm okay, she insisted. This happens sometimes. Reeves was watching her with unusual intensity. How long have you had these headaches? They started a few months ago, Kira admitted. Sarai got them too. She said it was from staring at screens too much. Reeves exchanged a significant look with Elon. Does anything specific trigger them? Kira thought for a moment. They're worse when I'm trying to understand Sarai's work, or when I feel like I'm close to finding her. Interesting, Reeves murmured. The conversation shifted to planning their next steps. With Reeves's connections and knowledge of the underground network, they could potentially track the other missing prodigies, establishing a pattern that might help them build a legal case against Kraft. There's something else you should know, Reeves said as the meeting wrapped up. Sarai's algorithm, her bridge as she calls it, it's not just theoretical. According to chatter on the Nexus, she successfully tested it. On what? Elon asked. Not what, Reeves corrected grimly. Who? These prodigies don't just theorize, they self-experiment. If Sarai's algorithm works, she's already used it on herself. Later, after Reeves had left with promises to gather more intelligence, Elon found Kira in the library again. She was reading Sarai's copy of Flatland, her fingers tracing her sister's notes in the margins. You should get some rest, he told her gently. Kira looked up, and Elon was struck again by the maturity in her eyes. He knows something he's not telling us, she said. About my headaches, about Sarai. Elon nodded slowly. I think you're right. I had a dream last night, Kira continued, her voice barely above a whisper. I was in a white room with screens all around me. I could see code scrolling, but I couldn't understand it. Her fingers pressed against her temples. And I heard Sarai's voice saying, "The bridge goes both ways." What do you think it means? Elon asked. Kira closed the book, her expression resolute. I think it means we're running out of time. The following morning brought a breakthrough. Dominic Reeves contacted them with urgent news. One of his sources had intercepted communications about a transfer scheduled for that evening. "They're moving Sarai," he explained over a secure video call. "A private medical transport from Kraft Technologies to an airfield. From there, a corporate jet to an overseas facility." "Where?" Elon demanded. "Singapore. Kraft has a research complex. There, outside normal regulatory jurisdiction." Kira's face paled. "Once she's out of the country, we might never get her back," Elon finished grimly. Plans formed quickly. Intercepting the transport would be risky, but possible. Jenkins coordinated, with local contacts, identifying the most likely route from downtown to the private airfield. Reeves provided details on the expected security protocols. "This has to be perfect," Elon stressed. "One shot, no mistakes." By late afternoon, they were in position. 3 unmarked vehicles strategically placed along the expected route. A medical team standing by, and legal representatives ready with emergency custody paperwork should they successfully recover Sarai. "Target vehicle approaching," Jenkins's voice crackled over the secure channel. "Black ambulance, private medical insignia, 2 escort cars." Elon and Kira waited in the lead interception vehicle, tension thick between them. This was it. Their chance to rescue Sarai before she disappeared forever. The plan worked flawlessly, almost too flawlessly. The security escorts were minimal, offering little resistance when Jenkins's team blocked the road and surrounded the ambulance. The medical team was quickly subdued, and the transport vehicle secured. But when they opened the back doors, they found only medical equipment. No patient. No Sarai. "It's empty," Jenkins reported, confusion evident in his voice. "That's impossible," Kira insisted, pushing past Elon to see for herself. The transfer was scheduled for today. Reeves confirmed it. Elon studied the ambulance interior with mounting suspicion. "It's a decoy," he said quietly. "They knew we were coming." The realization sent a chill through the team. If Kraft had anticipated their interception, it meant they had a leak, or worse, they had been deliberately fed false information. They retreated quickly before authorities could respond, regrouping at a secure location to reassess. Reeves joined them, his expression grim. "My source was compromised," he admitted. "The information was planted. I should have verified it more thoroughly." "So where is she, really?" Kira demanded, her frustration boiling over. "If not in that ambulance, where's my sister?" "Most likely still at Kraft Technologies," Elon reasoned. "They wanted to draw us out, see what resources we had, what we were willing to risk. And now they know," Jenkins added. "Our element of surprise is gone." The drive back to Elon's home was silent, the failure weighing heavily on everyone. But as they approached the gated entrance, Jenkins suddenly tensed. "Sir, the security system has been tampered with," he said, checking his phone. "The silent alarm was triggered 20 minutes ago." "Someone's in my house," Elon stated flatly. Jenkins immediately diverted their route, calling in backup as they circled the property. Remote security cameras showed no obvious signs of forced entry, but internal motion sensors had detected activity in the office where Sarai's research was being analyzed. "Corporate espionage?" Reeves suggested. "Kraft trying to recover anything you might have found, or cleaning up loose ends," Elon countered grimly. After ensuring Kira was secure in a separate location with trusted guards, Elon and the others carefully entered the property. They found evidence of a professional intrusion, security systems bypassed with expert precision, files accessed, equipment examined. In Elon's office, drawers had been opened, papers shuffled through. Sarai's notebook was gone, as were the hard drives recovered from her hidden compartments. The intruders had taken everything related to her research. "They're erasing her," Kira whispered when they brought her back to the house. First digitally, now physically. They're trying to make it like she never existed. That night, Elon moved everyone to a secure compound outside the city, one of several properties he maintained for development projects requiring absolute privacy. Kira was quiet during the transfer, her earlier determination now tempered with exhaustion and fear. In the living area of the compound, Elon found her staring out the window at the starry sky, one hand pressed against her temple. "Another headache?" he asked gently. She nodded. "They're getting worse and more frequent." "You should rest." "I can't." Her voice cracked slightly. "Every time I close my eyes, I see fragments of things. Code I don't understand, places I've never been. It's like someone else's memories are leaking into my head." Elon sat beside her, unsure what comfort he could offer. "Kira, I promise you, we will find Sarai, no matter what it takes. Even if it costs you your company, your reputation." She turned to face him. "Why are you really doing this, Elon? It can't just be because you found me on a bridge." The question caught him off guard, forcing him to consider motivations he hadn't fully examined. "When I was 12, he began slowly, I built my first computer program. People told me it was impressive, but no one really understood what it meant to me. How it felt to create something from nothing, to see possibilities no one else could see." He paused, remembering. "I think I see that same spark in you and your sister. That same vision. The world needs minds like yours, unafraid to push boundaries, to imagine the impossible." "Even if those boundaries should maybe stay in place?" Kira asked quietly. "That's the question, isn't it?" Elon replied. "Where do we draw the line between innovation and risk? Between progress and safety?" They sat in silence for a moment, watching the stars. "I'm scared," Kira finally admitted, her voice small. "Not just for Sarai, for myself too. I feel like I'm changing, like pieces of me are slipping away." Before Elon could respond, Jenkins burst into the room. "Sir, we have a problem. Kraft Technologies just issued a press release. They're announcing a breakthrough in neural interface technology tomorrow morning, something they're calling Project Bridge." Kira's eyes widened in alarm. "They're going public with Sarai's algorithm." "Without her consent," Elon added grimly. "We need to move fast." A strategy session extended late into the night. Legal options were limited. They had evidence of Sarai's work, but nothing that definitively proved theft or wrongful detention. Any public accusations against Kraft Technologies would be met with immediate legal pushback that could drain precious time and resources. "We need more concrete proof," Jenkins insisted. "Something that can't be explained away." "Or someone on the inside," Reeves suggested. As if on cue, Elon's secure phone buzzed with an incoming message from an unknown number. The text was brief. "I have information about Sarai Amari. Need to meet. Alone. Harbor View Park. 1 hour." Jenkins immediately objected. "Sir, this is clearly a trap." "Probably," Elon agreed, "but it's also our only lead right now." Despite protests from his security team, Elon insisted on going. They compromised with an elaborate security protocol, surveillance drones, multiple teams positioned around the meeting site, and Elon wearing discreet body armor beneath his clothes. Harbor View Park was eerily quiet at 2 a.m. Fog rolled in from the bay, shrouding the area in a ghostly haze. Elon sat on a bench facing the water, apparently alone, but surrounded by invisible layers of protection. A figure emerged from the mist. A woman in her 30s with sharp features and alert eyes. She approached cautiously, scanning the surroundings with practiced efficiency. You came alone. I'm impressed, she said, sitting beside him but maintaining a careful distance. Who are you? Elon asked directly. Veronica Lind. I work for Kraft Technologies, officially in neural interface development. She paused. Unofficially, I'm with the National Science Intelligence Division, a government agent inside Kraft's operation. Elon's eyebrows rose. Sounds like the plot of a bad spy movie. Reality is usually less elegant than fiction, Veronica replied dryly. I've been embedded in Kraft's research team for 14 months, monitoring potentially dangerous technological developments, like Sarai's algorithm. Veronica nodded. Exactly like that. Do you understand what her breakthrough actually does, Mr. Musk? Neural interface technology that allows consciousness transfer, Elon replied. A bridge between human minds and artificial systems. That's the simplified version, Veronica said. The reality is far more complex and far more dangerous. Sarai Amari didn't just develop a way to connect minds to machines. She developed a way to split consciousness itself. A chill ran down Elon's spine that had nothing to do with the night air. Split how? Into separate functional entities that can exist independently, Veronica explained. One consciousness becomes two distinct awareness streams, both fully functional, both believing themselves to be the original. That's impossible, Elon said automatically. That's what we thought too, until she demonstrated it. Veronica leaned closer. Mr. Musk, Kraft isn't just holding Sarai against her will. They're using her as a test subject for her own technology. She's the first human to successfully undergo consciousness splitting. Elon's mind raced with implications. What happens to these split consciousnesses? Initially, they remain connected via what Sarai calls the bridge, a quantum entanglement that allows both parts to exist separately but maintain awareness of each other. Eventually, the connection should stabilize, allowing both to exist fully independently. Should? Veronica's expression darkened. Previous test subjects weren't so fortunate. The splitting process created immediate neural cascading failures, essentially, brain death. The subjects' minds couldn't handle the division. Previous test subjects? Elon repeated, horrified. How many? 8 that I know of. All brilliant young minds working on similar neural interface technologies. All officially listed as having suffered strokes or aneurysms. Elon thought of the missing prodigies Reeves had mentioned. And Sarai is still alive because her algorithm uniquely protects the human brain during the interface process, Veronica confirmed. Her bridge sustains both sides of the consciousness split, preventing neural collapse. That's why she's so valuable to them. If what you're saying is true, Elon said slowly, why come to me? Why not shut down the operation through official channels? Veronica laughed bitterly. Because half the funding for Project Bridge comes from classified government research initiatives. My own superiors are involved. They want this technology, regardless of the ethical concerns or human cost. So, you've gone rogue. Let's say I'm exercising independent moral judgment, she corrected. What Kraft is doing isn't just unethical, it's monstrous. And tomorrow's announcement will legitimize it, opening the door for expanded human testing. Elon processed this information, connecting it to what they already knew. You said Sarai underwent the splitting procedure. When? 6 months ago, initially. It was presented as a simple test, just a temporary separation to prove the concept. But Kraft's team discovered something unexpected. The split was more stable than anticipated, allowing both parts of her consciousness to function independently for extended periods. What does that mean exactly? Elon pressed. Where is the other part of her consciousness now? Veronica hesitated, searching his face. Mr. Musk, when did you first meet Kira Amari? The question hit Elon like a physical blow. 3 days ago, on the Golden Gate Bridge. 3 days ago, Veronica repeated meaningfully. The same day Sarai attempted to escape from Craft Technologies. No, Elon shook his head. That's not possible. Kira is Sarai's sister. She has memories of growing up with Sarai, of their parents dying. Memories that could have been part of the consciousness transfer, Veronica suggested gently. The mind creates narratives to explain its existence. Kira has Sarai's memories, or versions of them, because she is Sarai, in a very real sense. Elon thought back to Kira's headaches, her strange dreams, her intuitive understanding of her sister's work, her certainty about where to find Sarai. If what you're saying is true, he said slowly, then Kira isn't just looking for her sister. She's trying to find herself, Veronica finished. The splitting was never meant to be permanent. The longer the two consciousnesses remain separated, the more unstable the bridge becomes. That's why her headaches are getting worse. The connection is deteriorating. What happens if the bridge collapses completely? Best case? Both consciousnesses survive independently, but lose all awareness of each other. Worst case? Veronica's expression was grim. Total neural collapse. Both sides die. How? Much time do we have? Not much. The announcement tomorrow isn't just for publicity. They're planning to complete the separation process, to sever the bridge entirely, and prove that two independent consciousnesses can emerge from one. If they do that, Kira will cease to exist, Elon concluded, a cold dread settling in his stomach. Or Sarai will, or both. Veronica stood. I have to go before I'm missed. But now you understand what's at stake. Why tell me all this? What can I possibly do against both craft and government agencies? Veronica smiled thinly. Because you're Elon Musk. You have resources, influence, and, as I've recently learned, a surprising moral compass. She handed him a small drive. Facility. Access codes, research data, security protocols. Everything you need to get inside. As she turned to leave, Elon called after her. Veronica, how do I know I can trust you? She looked back, her face half hidden in shadow. You don't. But Sarai does. And right now, that's the best I can offer. With that, Veronica melted into the fog, leaving Elon alone with information that changed everything. The drive back to the compound was a blur. Elon's mind raced with implications, reassessing every interaction with Kira in this new, unsettling light. The girl's intuitive understanding of complex neural concepts, her headaches, the way she had known exactly where to look in Kraft's building, as if she'd been there before. Could Kira really be a fragment of Sarai's consciousness, believing herself to be a separate person? Jenkins was waiting when he returned. Sir, was the meeting productive? Very, Elon replied, his voice distant. Get everyone together. We need to talk. Everyone except Kara. She had finally fallen asleep, exhausted from the day's events, and Elon wasn't ready to confront her with Veronica's claims. Not yet. Not until he was certain. In a secure conference room, Elon shared Veronica's revelations with Jenkins, Dr. Chen, and Reeves. Their reactions ranged from disbelief to disturbed fascination. Consciousness splitting? Dr. Chen repeated, incredulous. That's beyond theoretical. The neural complexity alone would be impossible, Elon finished. Like reusable rockets were impossible? Like mass-market electric vehicles were impossible? Point taken, she conceded. But the implications are staggering. If Sarai really achieved this, then Kraft isn't just holding her captive, Reeves interjected. They're exploiting the most significant breakthrough in human cognitive science since, well, ever. Jenkins remained practical. The question is whether we can trust this Veronica person. This could be elaborate disinformation. Elon inserted the drive Veronica had given him, the screen filled with schematics, security protocols, and research data. Internal documents with Kraft Technologies' proprietary markers. This looks legitimate, Dr. Chen confirmed after examining several files. The neural mapping algorithms are consistent with Sarai's work, just more advanced. One document caught Elon's attention, a complex organization chart showing the true structure behind Project Bridge. Kraft Technologies was merely one node in an intricate web of corporations, research institutes, and government agencies. This goes far beyond Vernon Kraft, Elon murmured, tracing connections with his finger. Look at these investment structures. To his shock, several of his own investors appeared in the chart, channeling funds through shell companies into Kraft's operation. Sir, Jenkins said carefully, some of these entities have financial ties to your own companies. I see that, Elon replied grimly, which means I've been inadvertently supporting this operation. The revelation hit hard. He'd prided himself on pushing ethical boundaries in technology while still maintaining human welfare as a core principle. Now he discovered his own financial ecosystem was entangled with something potentially monstrous. Reeves was examining facility schematics. According to this, the main research for Project Bridge happens here. He pointed to a building complex in the Nevada desert. Isolated location, private airstrip, minimal staff. Classic black site setup. Satellite imagery confirmed the facility's existence, a cluster of low buildings surrounded by desert, approximately 2 hours by air from San Francisco. Power consumption records showed massive energy usage consistent with advanced computing operations. If Sarai is there, how do we get her out? Jenkins asked. Even with these access codes, we're talking about a highly secure facility potentially, protected by government interests. I have something they don't, Elon replied. My aerospace division's X-37 prototype. The others looked at him in surprise. The stealth VTOL transport? Dr. Chen asked. I thought that was still in development. It's functional, Elon confirmed. Not public yet, but operational. Designed for low radar profile and minimal heat signature. It can get us there undetected. As they formulated a plan, Elon couldn't shake his concerns about Kira. If Veronica was right, the girl wasn't just connected to Sarai, she was Sarai, or at least part of her. How would she react to that revelation? His thoughts were interrupted when Kira herself appeared in the doorway, pale and disoriented. What's happening? She asked, her voice strained. Why didn't anyone wake me? You needed rest, Elon said gently. We were just planning without me? Anger flashed in her eyes. She's my sister. Or she's you, Elon thought but didn't say. We have new information, he explained instead. A contact inside Kraft Technologies. She's given us location data. For a facility in Nevada where we believe Sarai is being held, some of Kyra's anger faded, replaced by urgent hope. When do we leave? We're finalizing plans now. The facility is heavily secured. I don't care, Kira interrupted. I'm coming with you. Kira, Elon began carefully. There's something else you should know. Something about Project Bridge. Before he could continue, Kira doubled over, clutching her head in obvious agony. This was no ordinary headache. Her whole body convulsed with pain. "Kira!" Elon moved to her side, supporting her as she nearly collapsed. "Something's wrong," she gasped. "I can see. A room. White walls. Screens everywhere." Her eyes were unfocused, seeing something beyond the present. "People in lab coats. They're doing something to me." "No, not me. To Sarai." Dr. Chen rushed to check her vitals. "Her pulse is racing. This isn't psychosomatic. It's the bridge," Reeves said quietly. "She's experiencing Sarai's consciousness directly." Kira's eyes suddenly focused, clarity returning. "I know where she is," she stated with absolute certainty. "I can see it. I can draw it." Given paper and pen, Kira sketched with remarkable precision. A facility layout with corridors, security, checkpoints, and a central laboratory. The drawing matched the schematics from Veronica's files almost perfectly, with minor differences that suggested recent modifications. "How could you know this?" Jenkins asked, bewildered. Kira ignored the eye question, continuing to sketch rapidly. "There's a room here," she circled an area. "That's where they're keeping her. I can feel it." Elon and Reeves exchanged glances. The evidence was becoming undeniable. "Kira," Elon said gently, "I need to ask you something important. These headaches, these visions, when did they start?" She thought for a moment. "Maybe 6 months ago. They were mild at first. Sarai had them too. And your memories of your childhood with Sarai, are they clear? Detailed?" Kira frowned. "What does that have to do with anything?" "Please," Elon pressed. "It's important." "They're mostly clear," she said hesitantly. "Some things are vivid. Our parents, the day they died. Other things are fuzzy. But everyone has gaps in their memories, right?" Elon took a deep breath, making a decision. "Kira, there's something you need to know about Project Bridge, about why Sarai is so valuable to them." He explained Veronica's revelations as gently as possible, about consciousness splitting, about the bridge that connected divided minds, about the failed test subjects. He watched Kira's face carefully as understanding dawned. "You're saying Sarai split her consciousness," she said slowly. "That she created some kind of copy of herself?" "Not a copy," Elon corrected. "A division. 2 parts of the same whole, both equally real, both equally Sarai." Kira shook her head in denial. "That's impossible. I'm me. I have my own memories, my own life." "When did you first meet me, Kira?" Elon asked quietly. 3 days ago. On the bridge." The certainty in her voice faltered slightly. "The same day Sarai tried to escape from Craft Technologies," Reeves noted. "No." Kira stood abruptly. "No, you're wrong. I'm not. I can't be." Her hands trembled. "I'm Kira. I've always been Kira." "The human mind creates narratives to explain its existence," Dr. Chen said gently. "If your consciousness was separated from Sarai's, you would naturally construct an identity that made sense to you." "Stop it!" Kira shouted. "Just stop! I know who I am!" But the doubt had taken root. Elon could see it in her eyes, the terrible question echoing in her mind. If she wasn't really Kira Amari, then who was she? "I think," Elon said carefully, "that regardless of how you came to be, you are your own person now. And together, we're going to find Sarai. We're going to make this right." Kira looked at him, vulnerability and fear warring with determination in her eyes. "How?" How do we even know what right is anymore? It was a profound question that Elon didn't have an answer for. None of them did. One step at a time, he said finally. First, we find Sarai. Then, together, you can decide what happens next. Dawn was breaking when they reached the private airfield where Elon's aerospace division housed its experimental craft. The X-37 prototype sat waiting, sleek and dark, its teethy-ho unconventional design making it appear more alien than human-made. Unlike traditional aircraft, its smooth contours and specialized materials were designed to absorb radar rather than reflect it. Kira had been quiet during the journey, withdrawn into herself. The revelation of her possible origin had created a storm of emotions she was still processing. Occasionally, she would press her fingers to her temples, wincing from headaches that seemed to be increasing in frequency. "Are you sure you're up for this?" Elon asked as they prepared to board. "I don't have a choice," she replied simply. "If what you told me is true, then I need answers as much as Sarai does." The flight crew consisted of a single pilot, a former military specialist named Captain Rivera, who asked no questions about their unusual mission. Jenkins and two security specialists accompanied them, along with Dr. Chen, whose medical expertise would be critical if Sarai was in distress. Flight time to the Nevada facility will be approximately 47 minutes, Captain Rivera informed them as they boarded. The X-37's stealth capabilities should keep us off conventional radar, but be advised that a black site like this may have advanced detection systems. The interior of the craft was Spartanly functional, more laboratory than luxury, despite being one of Elon's projects. As they strapped in for takeoff, Elon observed Kira running her hand along the control panel with unexpected familiarity. "The neural interface integration is elegant," she commented, almost to herself. "Haptic feedback with minimal latency." It was something Sarai might say, a technical observation beyond what you'd expect from a 13-year-old girl. Kira seemed to realize this too, quickly withdrawing her hand as if burned. "It's okay," Elon said quietly. "Whatever the truth is, you're still you." The takeoff was remarkably smooth for an experimental aircraft. Within minutes, they were airborne, the California coastline receding behind them as they headed east toward Oars, the Nevada desert. The X-37's experimental engines operated at a frequency below normal hearing range, creating an eerie, almost silent flight. As they approached the coordinates, Captain Rivera activated the craft's enhanced imaging systems. The desert facility appeared on their screens, a cluster of low buildings surrounded by perimeter fencing, solar arrays stretching across the adjacent terrain. "Minimal visible security," Jenkins observed. "That's concerning." "The real security is probably below ground," Reeves replied. "These types of facilities are like icebergs. What you see is just a fraction of what's there." Using Veronica's access codes, they established a secure landing zone away from the main surveillance perimeter. The X-37's vertical landing capabilities allowed them to touch down in a natural depression that provided cover from ground-level observation. "Remember the plan," Elon said as they prepared to disembark. "We get in using Veronica's credentials, locate Sarai, and extract her as quickly as possible. No confrontations unless absolutely necessary." The Nevada heat hit them like a physical wall as they exited the aircraft. Despite the morning hour, the temperature was already climbing past 90 degrees. They moved quickly across the desert terrain, guided by satellite imagery and Kira's uncanny sense of direction. "There's a service entrance on the east side," she said with certainty. "Less monitoring than the main gates." "How do you know that?" Jenkins asked. Kira's expression was unreadable. "I just do." The service entrance was exactly where she had indicated. a utilitarian door with a key card reader and biometric scanner. Using the cloned credentials Veronica had provided, they gained access with surprising ease. "Too easy," Jenkins muttered, hand hovering near his concealed weapon. "Or Veronica actually is helping us," Elon countered. Inside, the facility was clinically sterile. White walls, polished floors, and harsh fluorescent lighting. Despite its remote location, the technology visible in every corner rivaled anything in Silicon Valley's top research labs. They encountered few personnel, most of whom barely glanced at them, assuming they belonged due to their confident demeanor and official-looking access badges. Following Kira's lead, they descended deeper into the complex. With each level, security increased. More cameras, more locked doors, more restricted areas. Yet Veronica's credentials continued to grant them access. "This is it," Kira whispered, as they approached a heavy set of doors marked Project Bridge, authorized personnel only. "She's in there. I can feel it." The moment they entered, alarms should have sounded. Security should have descended. Instead, they found themselves in a large, circular laboratory with multiple workstations arranged around a central platform. On the platform stood what appeared to be two medical pods, one empty, the other occupied. "Sarai," Kira breathed, moving toward the occupied pod without hesitation. Inside, connected to numerous monitoring devices, lay a young woman who was unmistakably Kira's older self. Same curly hair, same facial features, just more mature. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow but regular. The readouts showed stable vital signs. "She's here. But where is everyone else?" Dr. Chen asked, examining the deserted lab. "It's a trap," Jenkins realized too late. "They wanted us to find her." The doors slid shut behind them with a definitive hiss. From hidden speakers, a familiar voice emerged. "Welcome, Mr. Musk. I've been expecting you." Vernon Kraft stepped from a concealed room, accompanied by Veronica Lind and several armed security personnel. "I'm disappointed," Elon said calmly. "I thought you were better than this, Veronica." "I never actually lied to you," she replied, showing no remorse. "Sarai does trust me. I am with a government agency, and everything I told you about Project Bridge is true. You just left out the part where you're fully committed to the project," Elon concluded. "Scientific progress requires difficult choices," she said. "What we're accomplishing here will change humanity forever." Kira had reached Sarai's pod, pressing her hands against the clear cover. "What have you done to her?" "Nothing she didn't." "Volunteer for initially," Kraft replied, approaching with measured steps. "Sarai Amari came to us willingly, eager to test her consciousness separation algorithm. The results exceeded everyone's expectations." He turned to Kyra with unsettling interest. "Especially you, my dear." "I'm not your dear," Kira snapped. "And I'm not an experiment." "But you are," Kraft corrected almost gently. "You're the most successful consciousness extension ever created. A fragment of Sarai that became self-aware, that developed its own identity, its own sense of self." "That's enough, Kraft," Elon interrupted. "Whatever you're doing here ends now." "On the contrary," Kraft smiled. "We're just beginning the most crucial phase. Tomorrow's announcement isn't just about revealing Project Bridge to the world. It's about demonstrating its success." He gestured toward the empty pod beside Sarai's. "Why do you think we made it so easy for you to find us? Why do you think we let you bring Kira right to us? We need both halves of Sarai's consciousness to complete the separation protocol." The implications hit Elon with horrifying clarity. "You're going to sever the bridge permanently." "Exactly," Kraft confirmed. the final proof that consciousness can be divided and sustained independently, one mind becoming two distinct entities. And if it fails, Elon demanded, if the separation causes neural collapse? Kraft's expression hardened. Science always involves risk. The potential benefits outweigh the concerns of one test subject. Kira's face had gone pale, her hands still pressed against Sarai's pod. "She's dreaming," she whispered. "I can see what she's dreaming." All eyes turned to her. "She's dreaming about the bridge," Kira continued, her voice distant. "Not the Golden Gate, a different bridge. The one inside her mind, the one connecting us." As she spoke, something remarkable happened. Sarai's eyes fluttered, then opened. Through the clear pod cover, her gaze locked with Kira's. No words were exchanged, but something passed between them. A recognition, a connection deeper than language. "Fascinating," Veronica murmured, making notes on a tablet. "The proximity has strengthened the quantum entanglement. They're synchronizing." "Stop talking about us like we're lab rats," Kira said, not taking her eyes from Sarai's. Then, to everyone's surprise, both Kira and Sarai spoke in perfect unison. "We're human beings." The identical timing and intonation sent chills through the room. Even Kraft appeared momentarily unsettled. "Restrain them," he ordered, recovering quickly. "Prepare both subjects for the separation procedure." "No." Elon stepped forward, placing himself between Kraft's security team and Kira. "I won't let you treat them like property." "You don't have a choice, Mr. Musk," Kraft replied coldly. "You're outnumbered, and in a secure facility miles from civilization. No one knows you're here, and no one would believe what we're doing, even if you told them." A slow smile spread across Elon's face. "Actually, Vernon, you're wrong about that. Everyone knows we're here." Jenkins pressed a concealed device on his wrist. Immediately, the room's lights flickered, and the security systems began to fail. "What have you done?" Kraft demanded, as alarms began to sound throughout the facility. "Live-streamed our entire infiltration," Elon replied calmly. "From the moment we landed, to approximately 30 million of my closest followers." Kraft's face drained of color. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Elon held up his phone, displaying a live feed with a rapidly climbing viewer count. "I have a rather substantial social media presence, Vernon, and people tend to pay attention when I announce something interesting." Confusion rippled through the security team. One of them whispered urgently to Kraft, who looked increasingly agitated. "Sir, it's true. We're getting reports of the stream going viral. Major news networks are picking it up." Veronica's professional composure cracked. "You can't do this. Project Bridge is classified." "It was classified," Elon corrected. "Now it's the #1 trending topic worldwide." The balance of power had shifted dramatically. Kraft's security team looked uncertain, awaiting clear orders that weren't coming. In the momentary confusion, Jenkins and his specialists moved swiftly, disarming the nearest guards and securing the laboratory doors. "This changes nothing," Kraft insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. "The world isn't ready to understand what we're doing here." "Let them decide that," Elon replied. "But first, let's hear from someone who actually understands the technology better than any of us." He turned toward Sarai's pod. "Dr. Chen, can you safely disconnect her?" Dr. Chen was already examining the medical equipment. "The systems are designed for safety. I can disengage the monitoring devices, but..." "But what?" Kira asked anxiously. "Her neural readings are unusual. There's intense activity in the regions associated with consciousness integration." While they spoke, Sarai's eyes remained locked with Kira's, a silent communication passing between them. With deliberate movements, Sarai reached for the internal release mechanism of her pod. The cover slid open with a soft hiss. The room fell, silent as she sat up, removing monitoring sensors from her temples and arms. Despite being physically identical to the young woman in Sarai's photographs, there was something profoundly different about her presence, a depth and intensity that seemed almost otherworldly. "Hello, Elon," she said, her voice slightly raspy from disuse. "Thank you for bringing my other half back to me." "Sarai?" Kira whispered. "Yes and no," she replied with a sad smile. "I'm what remained after the splitting. You took most of our childhood memories, our emotional core. I retained the technical knowledge, the analytical abilities." "This is unprecedented," Veronica murmured, scientific curiosity temporarily overriding the crisis situation. Two aspects of the same consciousness, both fully functional but differently specialized. "Not unprecedented," Sarai corrected. "Just undocumented. The human mind has always contained multitudes, different aspects of self that we integrate into a coherent whole. My algorithm didn't create something new, it just made the divisions visible and separate." Kraft, recovering his composure, stepped forward. "Which is precisely why this work is so important. Imagine the applications: specialized consciousness for different tasks, distributed intelligence across multiple platforms, weaponized fragmentation of the human mind," Elon interrupted. "People reduced to functional components." "You, of all people, should appreciate the potential," Kraft argued. "You've spent your career pushing the boundaries of human capability. There's a difference between enhancement and exploitation," Elon replied sharply. Meanwhile, Kira had moved closer, to Sarai, their hands now almost touching. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. "To us?" "That depends," Sarai looked at Kraft. "The bridge is unstable. The quantum entanglement that connects our consciousness is deteriorating. Without intervention, both portions will eventually collapse. Which is why we need to complete the separation protocol," Kraft insisted. "A clean division will allow both consciousnesses to stabilize independently." "Or kill them both," Dr. Chen countered, "based on your previous failures." Sarai's gaze returned to Kira. "There is another option: reintegration." "You mean becoming one person again?" Kira asked, her voice small. "Yes, returning to our original state. But what happens to me? To who I am now?" Fear flashed across Kira's face. "Will I just disappear?" Sarai reached out, finally taking Kira's hand. At the contact, both gasped, their eyes widening. "No," Sarai said softly. "You are me, and I am you. We would become something new, a whole greater than the sum of its parts." "Absolutely not," Kraft interjected forcefully. "The separation protocol is the only approved procedure." "It's not your decision," Elon said. "It's theirs." Outside the laboratory, sounds of commotion grew louder. The facility was clearly responding to the security breach and the unauthorized broadcast. Time was running short. "Mr. Musk," Sarai said, turning to Elon, "there's something else you should know. Something about Project Bridge that even Vernon doesn't understand yet." She beckoned him closer, then placed a hand on one of the laboratory's neural interface terminals. Instantly, the screens around the room came to life, displaying complex data that even Elon struggled to comprehend. "My algorithm doesn't just create a bridge between divided aspects of a single consciousness," she explained. "It forms a template for connecting any compatible minds. The quantum entanglement principles could theoretically link human intelligence directly to artificial systems, not just as tools, but as extensions of consciousness itself. Elon's eyes widened as he grasped the implications. A true merger of human and machine intelligence. Yes, Sarai nodded. The next evolutionary step for humanity. Which is why certain interests are so determined to control it, Veronica added, her professional demeanor returning. This isn't just about craft technologies or government research. There are those who believe this technology represents either humanity's salvation or its extinction. And what do you believe? Elon asked Sarai directly. She smiled sadly. I believe no technology is inherently good or evil. But I've seen how Project Bridge is being developed here, prioritizing control over understanding, power over wisdom. Fan Shi turned to face everyone in the room. This is why I created the split originally, to protect the core algorithm from those who would misuse it. I placed crucial components in both halves of my consciousness, ensuring the complete formula couldn't be accessed unless we were willingly reunited. You fragmented your own mind as a security measure? Dr. Chen asked, astonished. The ultimate encryption, Sarai confirmed. Half the key in each part of myself. Kraft's expression darkened with understanding. That's why the algorithm never worked properly for us. You sabotaged your own research. I protected it, Sarai corrected. The laboratory doors suddenly shuddered, under impact from outside. Jenkins and his team moved into defensive positions. We're out of time, he warned. Whatever we're doing, we need to do it now. Elon turned to Sarai and Kira, who still held hands, connected by more than just physical touch. What do you want to do? The sisters, or rather, the two halves of one exceptional mind, looked at each other, a world of understanding passing between them. We want to go home, they said in perfect unison. To the bridge, Kira added. Where we can decide our own future, Sarai finished. Elon nodded, making a swift decision. Jenkins, extraction plan Delta. Now. Jenkins immediately activated a small device on his wrist. Throughout the facility, emergency systems triggered simultaneously. Fire alarms, sprinklers, and security protocol overrides. The chaos created the distraction they needed. This way, Elon directed, leading the group toward a service corridor Dr. Chen had identified during their planning. Kraft lunged to block their path, but Jenkins easily restrained him. You can't. Stop this, Kraft hissed. Do you have any idea how many powerful people are invested in Project Bridge? Actually, I do, Elon replied. I've been streaming their names and financial connections for the past 20 minutes. I imagine they're getting rather uncomfortable calls from regulators and journalists right about now. They left Kraft and Veronica secured in the laboratory, racing through corridors now slick with water from the sprinkler systems. Security personnel were more concerned with the apparent facility-wide emergency than with apprehending them. Sarai moved with surprising strength for someone who had been confined to a medical pod. She and Kira remained physically connected, hands clasped tightly together as they ran. Each time they had to separate briefly to navigate obstacles, both winced in pain. The neural connection between them apparently strengthened by proximity and weakened by distance. The headaches, Kira gasped as they reached the exit. They're getting worse. The bridge is collapsing, Sarai confirmed, her face pale with strain. We don't have much time. Outside, the Nevada sun beat down mercilessly. The X-37 waited, where they had left it, its stealth systems keeping it virtually invisible to the facility's external sensors. Where to? Captain Rivera asked as they boarded. San Francisco, Elon replied. The Golden Gate Bridge. As the craft lifted off, evading the facility's belated defensive measures, Dr. Chen attended to Sarai and Kira. Both were experiencing increasing neural distress. their synchronized headaches intensifying. Their brainwave patterns are harmonizing, she reported, studying portable medical sensors. But there's increasing amplitude. Whatever connection exists between them, it's becoming more powerful, but less stable, like an overloaded circuit, Elon suggested. Exactly, Sarai confirmed, her scientific mind still sharp despite the pain. The quantum entanglement that forms the bridge is reaching critical resonance. It needs to either be severed completely or fully integrated before it collapses. Kira looked at her other self with fear and determination mingled in her eyes. How long do we have? Hours at most, Sarai replied. Maybe less. The flight back to San Francisco was tense, with Elon dividing his attention between monitoring the unfolding media storm his live stream had created and checking on Sarai and Kira's condition. The revelation of Project Bridge was creating global shockwaves, with government agencies scrambling to respond and tech companies issuing denials of involvement. You've changed everything, Sarai told him quietly. Once this technology is in the public consciousness, it can't be hidden away again. Is that good or bad? Elon asked. Both, she replied with a faint smile. Like most innovations that change the world. As they approached San Francisco, Kira's condition deteriorated rapidly. She slipped in and out of consciousness each time, returning with fragments of Sarai's memories. I remember the first test, she murmured during one lucid moment. When we first created the split, it was like being in two places at once, seeing through two sets of eyes. The bridge was stronger then, Sarai confirmed. We could maintain both perspectives without losing cohesion. What changed? Time, distance, the natural human tendency to form distinct identities. Sarai squeezed Kira's hand. You became more you. I became more me. The bridge stretched thinner, the X-37 set down in a cordoned area near the Golden Gate Bridge that Jenkins's team had secured through Elon's emergency protocols. Despite the late hour, a crowd had gathered at the perimeter. Journalists, curious onlookers, and even protesters, drawn by the viral live stream and subsequent media coverage. Why here? Dr. Chen asked as they disembarked. Why the bridge specifically? Symmetry, Sarai and Kira answered in unison. This is where I escaped to when I fled craft technologies 3 days ago, Sarai explained. In my confused state, with the bridge already fragmenting, I was drawn here, to a physical bridge that represented the neural connection in my mind. And that's where Elon found me, Kira continued. Not by chance. The bridge called both parts of us to the same place. They made their way to the pedestrian walkway of the Golden Gate Bridge, the same spot where Elon had first encountered Kira. The fog was rolling in again, enshrouding the bridge towers and creating an otherworldly atmosphere. Below, the dark waters of the bay churned silently. What happens now? Elon asked, watching as Sarai and Kira stood facing each other, hands joined, completing a circle. Now we make a choice, Sarai said. To separate completely or to rejoin? If we separate, Kira asked, her voice trembling slightly, we become two distinct people with no connection between us. You would remain Kira Amari, with all the memories and emotions you currently possess. I would remain Sarai, with my more analytical nature. And if we rejoin? Sarai hesitated. We become something new. Neither exactly you nor exactly me, but a complete person with all our combined experiences and abilities. Kira looked down at their joined hands, then up at the fog-shrouded bridge tower above them. Would it hurt? I don't know, Sarai admitted. No one has ever done this before. Elon, sensing the gravity of the moment, stepped back, giving them space for this most personal of decisions. Dr. Chen and the others did the same, forming a protective perimeter that shielded the sisters from outside observation. "I'm scared," Kira whispered. "Me too," Sarai confessed. "For all my knowledge, I can't predict what will happen." "Will I still exist?" Kira asked, the fundamental fear finally voiced. Sarai considered this deeply. "Do you exist now? Or are you already a continuation of who we once were?" "I feel real," Kira insisted. "My thoughts, my feelings, they're mine." "Yes," Sarai agreed, "and they always will be, because they're part of our whole. Nothing true is ever really lost, Kira. It just changes form." The wind picked up, swirling the fog around them like a living thing. From the shoreline, distant lights glimmered like stars fallen to earth. "What do you want?" Kira asked finally. "To be whole again," Sarai admitted, "but not at your expense. Never that." Tears slipped down Kira's cheeks. "I want that too, to be complete. But I'm still afraid." "Fear is how we know something matters," said a voice behind them. Both turned to find Elon had stepped forward again. "Whatever you decide, remember that both of you are equally real, equally valuable. There is no wrong choice here." Sarai and Kira looked at each other, a lifetime of understanding passing between them. Then, with synchronized movement, they reached up to touch each other's temples, completing a circuit beyond physical understanding. "The bridge between," they whispered together. Light seemed to emanate from where their fingers connected. Not visible light, but something that registered in the mind rather than the eye. A sensation of completeness, of fragments rejoining, of a circle closing. Then, where two young women had stood, only one remained. She swayed slightly, eyes closed, face serene. When her eyes opened, they held both Kira's emotional depth and Sarai's analytical clarity. "Sarai?" Elon asked hesitantly. "Kira?" She smiled, a smile that was both familiar and entirely new. "Yes," she answered simply. "And more than either." The bridge, both neural and physical, had served its purpose. The path between had become the destination itself. In the distance, dawn began to break over San Francisco, painting the fog gold and rose. A new day for a person who was both new and ancient, both divided and whole. A person who had found herself on a bridge, with the help of a man who understood what it meant to see possibilities others couldn't imagine. "Thank you," she said too, "Elon, for giving me your coat that night, and for helping me find my way home." And that's the story of the Winter Bridge. I hope you enjoyed this tale of mystery, technology, and what it means to find yourself. I'd love to know where you're listening from today. Drop your location in the comments below and tell me what you thought of Elon and Kira's journey. If this story touched your heart, please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue spreading stories of kindness and connection around the world. And if you're ready for another adventure, click on the video appearing on your screen right now. Until next time, remember that sometimes the universe puts exactly the right people on your bridge.